ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Happy NC State at ECU Day. It's a big midweek game inside Clark O'Clair Stadium tonight, 6 p.m. first pitch. We'll preview that and a whole lot more. Talk about the ramifications of that baseball game, the first of two over the next few weeks between ECU and NC State. Pirates will be at Old Dominion next midweek and then at State for the return game. But in Greenville tonight should be a great crowd. Should be a fun atmosphere. We'll dive into that. We also are going to talk about the ECU at-large picture after a disappointing series loss at Tulane. How does that affect their standings? Are they still in the projected field of 64? We're going to be joined by Jonathan Wagner from On 3 Sports, also from the Bucks on the Pond podcast. He's got his latest field of 64 out. We'll ask him why he has ECU in or why he took ECU out. We'll get that and get the scoop there as he puts it out before D1 baseball, which I do enjoy from Wags. He'll join us segment 2 for that. We may check in on ECU players in Major League Baseball. We'll see if we have time on that, depending on a few other things. Alec Burleson, Gavin Williams facing off last night. Connor Norby going deep, so some things happening there. We also got to talk some NBA play-in games because the Charlotte Hornets are participating in that, and also Philip and I's favorite NBA teams are in the NBA playoffs as well. NHL playoffs around the corner, too. A few more days left in the regular season. And we'll wrap up there. So Philip Pilkington back at the 94.3 The Game studios. Philip, a lot happening in the coming week. You're going out to Denver for obviously some sad news on your front with passing in your family. So, prayers to you and your family. But I do know you've looked at potentially going out there, maybe catching a playoff game or two with the Avalanche or Nuggets. So how was that foray coming for you and your family?
I don't know. I got to talk to some of the family members. You're out there for family stuff. You hate just to be like, hey, yeah, by the way, peace out. Going to a basketball game or I'm going to a hockey game. So I got to kind of figure out where everybody's head's at on that one. We got to see when the Avs play. We could maybe squeeze the Nuggets in. It's going to be a 1:30 local tip on Saturday afternoon, but it's going to be, I think we're landing around 10:30 in the morning. So we might be kind of a whack to drive out of Denver and come back in. So we'll see. I don't know. Don't even know if we're getting picked up in the airport or Ubering or what the deal is. So you know how it is. We got a lot of people coming into town on short notice at one time. I'm not really sure who's in charge of logistics. So we'll see. But also the Dodgers are in town taking on the Rockies. So all the family stuff that's official is like Monday and Tuesday. So maybe we can finesse one of those things Saturday or Sunday. We'll see.
Ball Arena is calling your name, Philip. It's just a matter of whether it's going to be for NBA or NHL playoffs. Hey, Coors Field, not a bad consolation prize as well. So, yeah, keep us updated on that front. Obviously, we're best wishes to you and your family going through that and, safe travels out there. We will miss you, by the way, next Monday, Tuesday. We'll have Dom filling in. There'll be a lot of pressure on Dom come Monday, Tuesday to recap the spring game. We'll see if he can get the job done there. But we'll look forward to that on Monday, Tuesday. All right, so I do want to get to some big news on the ECU Athletics front announced this morning, and we'll lead the show with that. ECU Athletics has extended its partnership with Adidas. That's the big news. Now, they also, according to the headline, have tabbed BSN Sports as the official distributor. I don't understand, I'll be honest, I don't understand the exact partnership here with BSN Sports. I can read it here in a minute, but basically what I've read leads me to believe BSN Sports almost just, they handle a lot of the equipment and they're kind of the official distributor and they're basically just distributing Adidas's equipment. Or if they're working with another school that has Nike, they're in charge of the distribution of the equipment. So obviously you extend the partnership with Adidas, which is the main thing. You get all Adidas gear, as ECU has had since 2016. Originally, when this was signed in 2016, this was a 10-year deal. So it's set to expire this summer. So ECU had a decision to make to re-up with Adidas or go with another team like Nike, like Under Armour. I think there's a few other options out there as well, but those are the main ones. Adidas ends up being the deal. This is a 5-year deal per my sources. So this will extend through 2031, and the Pirates will then have to make another decision. But for now, this means 15 years by the time 2031 arrives that ECU has been with Adidas. Now, we've had John Gilbert, Director of Athletics, on the show in the past. A couple things on this front. He has said that Adidas was always the likely move. They have been good to ECU. I know that fans are somewhat disappointed with the fan apparel. We can get into that discussion. Feel free to leave your comments in the chat. Those are up on YouTube and Facebook. But from the team perspective, this all comes down to value. How much money are you getting? How much equipment are you getting? How much equipment value are you getting? How much are they willing to, spend on your signage around campus, that sort of stuff? All of that goes into the equation. ECU is going to go with the best value. So Adidas ended up being the best value too. Again, 5-year deal, so it's not like as long of a commitment as the 10-year deal was. And, one of the other things is if ECU would have gone to Nike, they would have had to spend the money to flip all the signage, all the stuff around campus. They've got the Adidas they had that brand, which I think Adidas helped them come up with. ECU owns the brand, but they probably would have had to change a lot of the signage, change some of the branding around campus. John Gilbert has said that would be a significant cost that goes into the equation if you end up going with another apparel suitor. So ECU re-ups with Adidas. That's the decision they made. We are scheduled. I'm working on getting John Gilbert on in the coming weeks. But just from the business standpoint, this seemed to make the most sense, and obviously that's why ECU did it, Philip. So, look, I'm a fan of Adidas's shoes. I'm not a huge fan of some of their other equipment, but at the same time, they give quality stuff to the players, and that's really what matters. And obviously the fans matter too in terms of the apparel. And I know some people get frustrated with the lack of options at times, but I think the athletic department has to do what's best for the student athletes and coaches and all that. And it sounds like Adidas has always delivered on that front, at least from what we know about. Yeah,
the only issue's really been if you get a new basketball player and he's playing with the tape name on his jersey for a long time.
I guess that's on Adidas, or maybe that's on BSN Sports. I don't. In the past, it's been an issue for sure.
Yeah. Now, I get a question. Did we have that middleman distributor in the past? Are we going straight through Adidas? Do you think maybe that's part of the reason the BSN Sports is added into this deal?
That's a good question, and that I honestly don't know, and I can check in more with John Gilbert when we get the chance. In the release, it does say, in a strategic move to streamline operations, ECU has also expanded its partnership with BSN Sports, which will now serve as the exclusive distributor for all Adidas branded gear and accessories for the department. So it sounds like they were at least working with them before, but maybe not to the degree they will be going forward.
Yeah, because they said expand, not extend. Yeah. Extend would make it seem like it's the exact same, but now this is going to be a bigger role. So maybe that'll help. At the end of the day, Stephen, one of the things you brought up was the signage around campus and doing some of the other stuff that you'd have to do if you changed. Every little thing that you mentioned there, Stephen, costs money. And right now, in an era when you have to pay the players, any corner you can cut, do it. And if that means, hey, we didn't go to Under Armour, we didn't go to Nike, not that you would really want to go to Russell, but hey, Georgia Tech's winning a lot more baseball games than we are, so maybe we should go to Russell. I don't know. Any little thing that would add expenses-wise can hurt you in other scenarios. So, and hurt you in the scenario where it matters most, and that is on the floor, on the ice, or well, not the ice, on the floor, on the field, on the court, whatever, right? So, I think the staying is good. Like I said, the athletes always seem to be well-clothed going around campus. You never see a ECU student athlete not in stuff because they get plenty of apparel. So as long as they're giving enough to the athletes are happy. As long as we can get some names on the back of uniforms for basketball, we'll be good.
Yeah, and I wasn't a big fan of the base football uniforms that came out, I think from 21 through 23 maybe. Maybe they still have some of those straggler pants around, but or pants or jerseys around where it was just like you had just the purple and it was all yellow, like East Carolina, and then the numbers were in yellow. There was no outline, and you had the stripe. It didn't like go with any other jersey, so I feel like that was kind of a miss, and I don't know if that's more on Adidas, more on ECU designing. I think what they've done though since then with the modern throwbacks, adding different pants with it, adding different helmets, designs, different uniform designs. I think it's been pretty sharp. Like the latest black uniforms were sweet. So I feel like the uniforms outside of that one error, no pun intended, I guess. I was trying to say era instead of error. But I've been a fan of it. The basketball unis, look, the basketball team has not performed great, but the unis look great. I love the softball unis. I love the women's basketball jerseys. I think the actual uniforms, Adidas, for the most part, has knocked it out of the park for ECU athletics. So, like, to me, that's the biggest thing. Can you capitalize and continue to capitalize? Because I still think there's more that can be done there, Philip. But, like, this era of uniforms has been pretty solid for me.
Yeah, it has been. Really post, I graduated in 21, so kind of coming out of the COVID era, that's kind of when that bland, kind of ended. Kind of the beginning of the Mike Houston era overall was kind of bland. But, baseball's been good. Got a lot of different things. As you mentioned, even some of your non-revenue sports tend to have cool uniforms, and the fact that we've got third and fourth uniforms in some non-rev sports as well. So, yeah, no, I think it's good. I mean, I guess the only thing I would, really, really take into consideration too with this, and not that I've heard any complaints, but if the athletes were consistently complaining about shoes, that would be an issue. If their feet hurt, if they feel like they were not able to find shoes that allowed them to strike the ground correctly, and having knee injuries and things like wear and tear type injuries and things like that. And knock on wood, I haven't heard about any of those. So that's another thing you got to look at as well.
All right, and again, a lot of this is personal preference outside of some of the apparel that is offered at, say, local stores where you can get ECU stuff sponsored by Adidas. That when I go in there, it does tend to I don't know, kind of be underwhelming at times. They don't have a ton of different options. I know the authentic jerseys that fans try to buy have been, a little bit of, there's been some complaints there. So there are things Adidas can do better, but
That's every college program.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, obviously you want what's best for ECU and you want the best things possible. We do have to remember Adidas, as somebody in the YouTube chat just said, Johnny Robertson said, Penn State and Tennessee are switching from Nike to Adidas beginning July 1st. We do have to remember, like, the premier programs, you have Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour probably bidding like crazy for these. ECU, it's not like they have to take what they can get, but at the same time, there's not a bidding war probably for ECU apparel like you would maybe want there to be. So you have to make the smartest, frugal decision for your athletic department, and then ECU's just got to continue to perform well on the field. The better ECU does on the field, specifically in football and hopefully in men's basketball, the more awareness it's going to bring to the brand of Adidas, and the more they're going to put stock into getting more merchandise, getting better uniforms out there. So it all kind of goes hand in hand. And I think from everything I've heard within the athletic department, the Adidas partnership has been very good. Are there certain things they would like better? Sure. But for the most part, been very good, which is why they're re-upping. Charles Askew says in the chat that he's glad it wasn't Nike. I mean, if it were my choice, I would say roll with Nike.
Yeah,
just do it. But I think it's the sharpest brand. But it is what it is. To each their own. RB Pirate wants to know, do we see a new uniform for football this year? My understanding, at least with the old contract, and I'm in the process of getting the new contract, is Adidas was required to at least offer a new base uniform either every 2 or 3 years. I can't remember the exact dates there, the exact timetable, but every few years they had to offer a new base uniform, and then at least every year they had to offer a new alternate uniform, like a black jersey or, the throwback jersey or something like that. So I will try to get clarification on that, RB Pirates, as I get the contract. So A-Win also wants to know, as long as a player's shoes match, what was up with that this year in basketball? There were a few games where players had non-matching shoes. I think that was a player decision.
Same as the NBA, those guys do that crap all the time.
I mean, I think it looks ridiculous, but I don't know. I think that's more of like a fad going on right now in basketball. Like some of those players want to wear non-matching shoes. So teach their own. All right, there's your apparel talk. We took up a whole segment with their Adidas contract. So what we'll do is we'll catch up with Jonathan Wagner next, talk about ECU's at-large picture. There he is standing by. His cat is yet to make an appearance, so we'll see if he does on the other side. We'll visit with Wags. We'll talk ECU, NC State. Philip and I will segment 3. So leave your comments on that front as well. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We'll be right back. Hoist the colors.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Allen, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today.
Everything you need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back into Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday. It's April 14th. ECU, NC State later tonight, 6 o'clock, first pitch. We've got one segment with Jonathan Wagner from On3 Sports and the Bucks on the Pond podcast. I just can't get enough of him after talking with him for well over an hour last night. That I've got him back on this show, but appreciate him stopping by. I wanted to hit Wags more of like the postseason picture. Now there's still 5 weeks left in the regular season. You do the projections for On3 Sports, and you have ECU in the field, which we'll get to, but also want to talk about the picture as a whole. But first, I want to ask you, like, I feel like, obviously, as a friend of you and just watching you grow in this profession, that your projections have gotten more and more traction since you started them a few years ago. So talk about that process, because, look, you're beating D1 baseball to the punch now. They put theirs out, Tuesday, Wednesday, midweek. You're getting them out early. So how has this, kind of project gone for you these last few years?
Yeah, it's been awesome because, my field of 64s, I kind of just started them by doing it off to the side with friend of the show, Casey, as me and Philip know, me, Casey, Parker, Eason, we would all we had a little spreadsheet that we would do together and just do a field of 64 every Monday because we were nerds, and that was that. But I think one day I mentioned it to my boss, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I did my field of 64, and it was different than this one. And he said, publish it. And I said, okay. And I publish it every week since. So it's really grown. It has gotten a lot more traction, which is awesome. I appreciate you and, Patrick Johnson, everyone here having me on to let me promote it. But yeah, it's been awesome. I've come a long way, and I feel like I've gotten better. And I do beat D1 baseball. I do it first thing on Monday. So yeah, I like to start the week with it, set the tone, so I can beat everyone else and be kind of the first one out there.
Good thoughts for sure. And yes, you will be on the Patrick Johnson show later this evening. So if you want even more Jonathan Wagner, you can find him there. Full disclosure, I didn't know you were going to be on the PJ show when I asked you, but I appreciate you double dipping today. And at least you're only having to do a segment here. Hey, let's start with the hosting race, Wags. How fluid is it this time of year? Just given the jumps in RPI, like how much can one series change the picture? Like at this point, do you feel like there are true locks to host outside of the obvious, or is it just very fluid this early?
It's very fluid. Just looking at it, I think the biggest example of it being fluid is last week Florida was my 16th overall seed and my final host. This week they are my number 4. So they took a series from Georgia. They're top 4 in RPI, so it can change a lot. But, at the same time, UCLA and Georgia Tech and Georgia at this point, probably 100% locks. North Carolina is probably a lock. Texas is probably a lock. Florida State, probably locks. Coastal Carolina, A&M, probably locks. But then after that, you have your Alabama, USC, Oregon State, Auburn's, those types of schools where it feels like they're pretty good, but, one bad week could change it. So they're probably looking at it, I would say 22 teams that I had in real consideration to host this week, and it's kind of been like that for a couple weeks. But those last couple of cuts were tough. Ole Miss, Oregon, Mississippi State fell out for me, Southern Miss, all there. But it's wide open. Oklahoma too. So I just keep thinking of teams. But yeah, it's wide open. It's very fluid. But at the same time, I think the powers that be are kind of starting to separate. But it also doesn't feel like, it's different this year because the SEC isn't the league where those dominant teams that you think, okay, these teams are probably going to play for a national championship. They're not coming from the SEC this year. It's UCLA and it's Georgia Tech. So it's different for sure.
So for those unfamiliar too, Wags, there is a change in the fact that they're supposed to rank, 1 through 32 this year? Is the committee,
yeah.
What do they have to do? And John Gilbert, by the way, on that committee, ECU athletic director, which may or may not play a role. We'll discuss ECU's at-large picture here in a minute. But how does that change the process? Because this is the first year they're doing that outside of just the top 16 hosts.
Yeah, I love the change. So it's pretty much the same exact way they see the top 16. It's just they extend it down to 32. But the change is that, the easiest way to look at it is 13, 14, 15, 16. Those are your final 4 hosts. Those are everyone's paired into pods of 4. So that's your final pot of 4 of hosting. And then the first pot of 4 that's outside of hosting is matched up with those 4 schools. So for me, I have Auburn 13, West Virginia 14, Virginia 15, Kansas 16, all hosting. And then I have Ole Miss 17, Oregon 18, Mississippi State 19, Southern Miss 20. And so those 4 2 seeds can only go to those 4 hosts unless there's a situation, say there's 3 SEC teams hosting and 2 SEC teams in the next pod, then I think they can extend it. But I love it. It's not strictly regional anymore, and it feels like it rewards the higher seeds more by getting a lower 2 seed. So I think it's a good change. I think it'll be good for the tournament. It won't completely take away the regional aspect of things in terms of location. If, say, UTSA ended up in the pot of schools that included Texas, and I don't think it matched up exactly with the numbers, but I put UTSA with Texas because I feel like that's still going to play a role. But But yeah, I love the change, and I do feel like it rewards the higher seeds more than it does the lower seeds, more so than it has in the past.
All right, Jonathan Wagner with us on 3 Sports on this Tuesday, and let's get into the ECU angle here in the bubble. ECU is amongst your last 4 in this week, and they were pretty safely in last week, and then they go and lose the series to Tulane, and that has them right on the bubble now. So, your thoughts on ECU and the bubble? How's it looking right now?
Yeah, I'm worried about ECU. Last week I had them as my projected American Conference champion. So I had them as a 2 seed, a pretty comfortable 2 seed. But now it's just one bad week kind of changes everything because ECU doesn't have any margin for error, and we're seeing that. And they were my 3rd to last team in the field, so they were my 62nd overall seed. Baylor was the 61st, Michigan 63, TCU 64. But it's a weird spot because the metrics actually work out pretty well for East Carolina right now. They are 36 in RPI, 17th in strength of schedule. Non-conference strength of schedule is 26, non-conference RPI 39. But then if you look at the actual resume, there just isn't much of one. They have 3 true series wins, and they're against Penn, RPI 195, UAB, RPI 43. Both of those you took 2 out of 3. And then you have Charlotte, which you swept. They're RPI 87 now. And then, of course, you won the LeClaire Classic against RPIs 130 and 57 in those games. But there's not a lot of meat on the bone. So while the metrics work out, those metrics are also going to get worse going forward because the schedule is not going to do ECU any favors, especially over the weekends. You are in a position to where you have to take care of business. You have to sweep, or else I think you might fall too far out of range because there's not enough on the resume to overcome the metrics falling down to fringe territory.
Are we underselling the potential the committee could say, hey, ECU has a 1-1-1 split with North Carolina? Like, could that be – I mean, it's not a series win, but it's also not a series loss. Like if you wanted to make the argument, you could be like, hey, they had momentum. Maybe they win that series finale before it's tied. I don't know. I'm just trying to present, like, if you're trying to make the ECU argument.
You're just trying to find any little thing you can latch on to.
I'm trying, man. Hey, I'm trying to paint things in ECU's favor.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't hurt. Like you said, it's not a series loss, but the way I look at it, it's a 1-1-1, so it's not like a giant resume boost, but I think that's part of the resume. But it just, to me, it comes down to who else is around you because, like I said, ECU's only path, numbers-wise, is down, and most teams around them, their only path is up. So that's the frustrating thing. But, I mean, who knows? That will hopefully help, and John Gilbert will hopefully help. But just, again, I keep coming back to the resume. It's just, if you're looking at a 1-1-1 weekend as your best thing on your resume, then you're probably not in a great spot.
Fair point for sure. And Johnny Robertson says last season only 4 of the 35 at-large bids were quote-unquote mid-majors. Dallas Baptist, Southern Miss, UTSA, and UC Irvine. He said all of them had an RPI and D1 ranking of 23 or higher, and 3 of the 4 won the regular season title. So, look, I do think ECU is going to get more credit than your normal mid-major, but I do think regular season conference finish matters. Like ECU probably needs to get at least into the top 2 of the American, ideally, to kind of just have a better standing there. You don't want to be 4th or 5th in a bad league because then it doesn't look as good, So I think all that plays a role. Jake Pierce wants to know, he says, shout out to the work you put in, Wags. If we drop tonight's game and don't go 4 out of our next 6 weekends, or excuse me, he says 4 out of the next 6 over the next 2 weekends, is it tournament champions or bust? So that would put ECU, at 5-3 over the next 2 weeks? I would say at that point you're probably looking at tournament or bust. Your thoughts, Wags?
Yeah, I completely agree. Looking at the schedule, your remaining weekends, obviously this weekend's Wichita State, RPI 154. You're at home against South Florida, RPI 59. And then you're at Memphis, RPI 149, home against Rice, RPI 55, and at Florida Atlantic 159. So yeah, the Wichita State just took a series from UAB. So I don't feel good about going in and sweeping them this weekend with how this ECU team looked this past weekend at Tulane. And then at Memphis and at FAU, I'll believe they can go 6-0 and they go 6-0 in those two series. And then the other ones, your RPI opportunities, you almost have to sweep those just to boost the resume. So it's just a lot that needs to happen, and I don't think it's going to. So, but yeah, I think if you go 2-3 the next two weekends and you lose against State, that doesn't help you. And your midweeks too, NC State twice, RPI 61, at Old Dominion next Tuesday, RPI 155. So even winning that game is going to hurt you. And then you finish with Campbell, which I'm probably going to chalk up as a loss because it's Campbell. They're RPI 64. So you need to play that game now and you need to win it. But yeah, I think, long story short, I think this whole thing is trending towards a second straight season of conference tournament win or bust. And it's frustrating to be in that spot.
No doubt. Pirates, we'll see what they do tonight when they do host NC State. Maybe they get a win, and maybe they just find a way to get on a roll here and keep the RPI where it is. All right, final thing for you on the field of 64 projections, Wags. You do have LSU, Texas State, Louisiana, Oklahoma State as your first four out. Your next four out, BYU, Troy, UAB, and Clemson. So, is the bubble also extremely fluid at this point? And the Sun Belt, do you see, some of those teams maybe rising? If anybody can compete with Coastal, maybe get an RPI boosting win there.
Yeah, for sure. The bubble is very fluid. LSU, my first team out, they were a comfortable 2 seed last week because they were 6-6 in the SEC. But then they get swept by Ole Miss. They're down to 6-9 in the SEC, and it looks like again they're on the outside looking in. But that's another team to where if LSU gets to 12-13 wins in the SEC, then they're probably going to have an edge over ECU. But then the Sun Belt is, Texas State. They were in for me last week, and they fall out this week. They lost a series to Troy, and Troy's behind them in the pecking order just because I think Texas State is a little bit better. But Troy's right there now too. Louisiana has been out of it, but now their RPI is in range, and they're, again, in striking distance. And, but I only have the Sun Belt having 2 bids. Coastal Carolina hosting Southern Miss in there, and then I look at Conference USA. That's the most intriguing conference to me right now. Jacksonville State has kind of run away with it the regular season. They're in, but they lost a series to Liberty. Bradley Zayak over there, former Pirate, and Bradley Zayak has had a heck of a year, helped Liberty get in there. Missouri State's number 16 in RPI going into the week. So Missouri State and Jacksonville State, I had both as 2 seeds. Liberty was probably my first 3 seed off of the 2 seed line. So Conference USA is kind of there again. And none of those teams are Dallas Baptist, who is probably right off of the range of the next part of the bubble. But yeah, it's very fluid. I think what happens over the next couple of weeks, the Big 12 there's a whole big group of teams in the Big 12 that's shaping up to be, bubble or trending towards the bubble. So how they kind of beat each other up could impact how the whole thing shakes out. So there's a lot at stake over the last 5 weeks. And I think the bubble is going to continue changing pretty drastically each week from here on out.
All right, he is Jonathan Wagner from On 3 Sports. You can also hear him on the Bucks on the Pond podcast. We did that last night. That's up on our other Hoist the Colors podcast channel as well as our Hoist the Colors YouTube page. Wags, we appreciate the time, my friend. Go rest that voice because you got more to say later on the Patrick Johnson Show.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on, and keep following me on Twitter, J_Wag74. I pin my field of 64 every week, or just search Jonathan Wagner on 3, and you can find all my articles there, and you'll find it every Monday. So, yeah, appreciate you guys having me on.
And since you're going to be a mean brother this weekend and not help your sister move, you're going to be inside Clark LeClaire Stadium on Friday, right?
If I had my way, I would say absolutely, but I think my dad might not appreciate if I leave it all to him because my sister has a crap ton of stuff.
Hey, she didn't help you move away from Greenville. That's all I'm saying. I had to tag in, remember? So
You're right. That's true.
Wags, I didn't know that you ate enough protein to help with moving.
Dang.
There's a lot of weightlifting involved there, man. I don't know. You might have to double up on the pizza.
I have protein every day. Thank you, Igo.
Fair enough. All right, buddy. I'll see you soon, man. Maybe
Thanks,
Studio
guys.
Friday. You never know.
Yeah, who knows?
Later. That is Jonathan Wagner from On3 Sports. Check it out again. Field of 64 projections on 3.com. If you search the name Jonathan Wagner, good stuff as always. We'll get him on a few more times in the coming weeks as the Field of 64 nears. We'll get a break in. We'll come back. Philip and I will share our thoughts on ECU NC State, the pitching matchup, what we want to see, and more next.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
In Eastern North Carolina, people appreciate things that are straightforward, honest, and dependable. For decades, our team has focused on cutting through insurance complexity for the communities we serve. And now, we're bringing that same mindset to our name. We're Flatlands Insurance Group, a simpler name that reflects the same local team, the same values, and the same commitment to the great communities we feel blessed to be a part of. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world is covered.
At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Pirates play here. This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Stephen Igo. On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Segment 3, Hoist the Colors. We talked about the postseason picture on our second segment. Just got a picture, by the way, from Jonathan Wagner's fridge or freezer. He does prove to us that he is taking 4 scoops of protein every morning. Vital protein.
Pantry.
So. Okay, pantry. There you go. So we officially have it. Now I just want to see video evidence that he's actually digesting this and not just stashing it in his pantry. But Wags, who knows? Maybe he eats more protein than I realize. All right, we talked on 3 Sports with him and his projections. Let's talk about the game tonight, which is a big game. NC State is 61 in the RPI. This is primarily due to the fact they have played hardly any games on the road. They've played 27 games at home and 7 games of true road games, 2 games in neutral sites. So they're 2-5 on the road. and 20-7 at home. Now, they have played Georgia Tech and Florida State on the road. They also won a midweek game at UNCW, but not exactly the best road team, although the Yellow Jackets and Seminoles are two of the best teams in college baseball. Also, their non-conference strength of schedule, 255th nationally. So their numbers are pretty inflated. You look at their offensive numbers, they have been dominant. They're hitting .310 with 55 home runs, 63 doubles, a team OPS of 934 on the mound. They carry a 4.13 ERA and holding opponents to a 215 batting average. But I think some of these numbers, for comparison, say ECU has played the 17th toughest schedule in America. NC State, even with 5 ACC series, has played the 72nd toughest strength schedule in America. Now, that will continue to rise as they go through more ACC series. But State's a good team. Don't get me wrong. I do think some of their numbers are inflated by the early, easy schedule. But either way, this should be a good baseball game tonight. Luke Heinrich, could be Hemrick, I'm not sure the pronunciation, Hemric, is starting tonight, a left-hander for NC State. He's 1-1 on the year, 3.60 ERA. He's only allowed 11 hits in 25 innings. He struck out 28 and has walked 15. Ryan Towers will go for ECU. Obviously threw 5 2/3 no-hit innings last week. He's 3-1 on the year, 6.05 ERA, 19.1 innings, 12 strikeouts, 8 walks, coming off the arm surgery. He has looked really good midweek starts, has struggled on the weekend, so we'll see how he does. I'm expecting the best crowd of the season tonight, Phillip. I'm hopeful that this team builds on the momentum in its last homestand, because it felt like that was the first time in a while they actually allowed the crowd to help will them. And tonight, they're going to have the same opportunity. No matter what happens early in the game, obviously you want ECU to get off to a good start. I think the crowd is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be a little hot, but it should be a great atmosphere.
I think so. 6 o'clock starts, plenty of time to get over there. Like you said, the weather's supposed to be good, a little toasty, but hey, when it's toasty and you're a little dehydrated, it just makes your body soak up the liquid you put in it that much faster. And the more you put in there, the more rowdy you get. So I like the, advantage ECU crowd tonight. It's going to be interesting, Stephen. I think, obviously you want to see how well Ryan Towers can pitch. He's been good in the midweek, as you mentioned, and against, solid midweek competition as well. ECU does play a pretty tough midweek schedule. The question comes down to the bats, and you mentioned it, a left-handed pitcher who has not allowed a lot of hits, and this, kind of brings up the question, how does Cliff Godwin manage this? Michael Kalinic has earned more playing time. Michael Kalinic is also a left-handed bat. Do we use him in a pinch hit situation when they go to a righty in a crucial situation, or do you start Michael Kalinic with, with Grady presumably out? I'm guessing Davin in center. Does this mean Braden in left? And Hakame, who is a right-handed bat, at second base. There's a couple different ways they can go with these things, so it will be interesting to see how Cliff Godwin decides to piece this lineup together tonight, with it being a left-handed pitcher that they are seeing. And, also midweeks, maybe you put a little less stock in the pitcher you're seeing, because maybe he only does go one time through the order as opposed to a weekend starter. So I'm glad I'm not having to make these decisions, though, Stephen.
Yeah, it especially when you throw in all the injuries now with ECU. Common sense would say you start Kalinic, and even Sabater's been good, but do you really want to roll 5-6 lefties in a lineup? I don't have the splits for Heinrich in front of me. I don't have that data, so obviously that would play a role in that decision. He has, he went 2 innings against UNCW last week, but he has gone into the 6th inning against Liberty a few weeks ago on March 31st. He also threw 5 innings against Campbell. So he has consistently pitched pretty well in these midweek games. So you would think you're at least going to go 2 times through the order, potentially with Heinrich, and then face a pretty good NC State bullpen. They are down Jacob Duden, who they lost for the season, so that should have a ripple effect. He was their one of their best starters, so that could be problematic for State. They also have NC State has Wake Forest on the weekend in Winston-Salem this weekend. So that, how much do they save pitching for that? So I expect an offensive game. Towers, for me, I know he was phenomenal last week. I think if you get 3 or 4 innings, you still feel good about it. For me, Phillip, obviously if he goes into the 5th, 6th, that'd be incredible. But I think State's offense is a bit of a different animal than Duke's.
If he can throw 4 innings of 2-run baseball and faces 18 batters over that stint, so he goes through the lineup twice, I can live with that. Midweek college baseball games are high scoring. You're going to have to score 7 or 8 runs tonight to beat this team. So I think if he can limit them to 2 in the first 4, and then the rest of your pitching staff can limit them to 4 over the final 5, you've let up 6 runs, you score 7, you score 8. That's a normal midweek game. That's a thing that we think this lineup is capable of. That is a thing that you would hope that Davin Whitaker and Braden Burris would have bounce-back games because that's the kind of hitters they are. And with it being warm and ECU finally hitting some home runs, maybe you've got a 3-run jack in there that can, kind of help you out, and maybe the 3-run jack's hit by a guy named Jack because it's fun to tweet out when he hits one.
Wag sent over a projected lineup earlier in our group chat, Bucks on the Pond, and when you take Grady Linehan out of there, it really hurts. I'll just say that much. It's not a great looking lineup. So I'm worried about the offensive production without Grady. It does sound like he could be back this weekend. I don't expect him to play tonight. And here's the thing. I do hope the crowd stays on its feet because this is just one of those games to me, like the team maybe a little down coming off the road, tough series loss. They're going to need the crowd to help will them to victory tonight. State probably man for man, more talented right now with the injuries and some of the things going on. But I do feel like this is a game the crowd could have a big impact. State has not played many road games, and they probably, I know Georgia Tech, Florida State have good environments. They probably have not played in an environment like this all season. UNCW
maybe
saw an environment.
Florida State.
This is a different animal. Yeah.
Maybe.
But
Florida State's pretty damn rowdy.
Do they show up for regular season baseball in Florida State? I know they do for the postseason.
Yeah, they show up for the regular season. When Duke was there a couple weeks ago, that place was rocking, and Duke's not even good.
So at least that should give them some experience, but maybe ECU fans will just drop a few more curse words their way, make them feel a little bit more uncomfortable. A couple comments here before we get a break in. Kenny says, hope our bats come alive tonight. As always, go Pirates beat State 12-9. Pirates win. Kenny is calling it. Jake Pierce says, hot day, beautiful outside, should be good atmosphere. Got to make a stand today. And he says, Towers getting through 4 innings and 2 runs. I love it. And says a jinx, Phil. And then we got Lane Smith in the chat. And guess what he's saying, Philip?
By the way you said it, it's pessimistic Lane today.
Yes. Lane says it's going to look like a lot like the UTSA start. 5 hits in a row. Another
Damn, Lane.
hitter for Ryan Towers.
What the hell?
Lane. He says 14-5 NC State. Get this negative energy out of here, Lane. Love you, brother. But
Lane needs some vitamin D to pep you up. Take the dog out for a walk. Get in the sun. That'll help you feel better. Dip your toes in the pool. I don't know. Do something.
I will say, if you're a sports fan and you're going to a big game, if you have low expectations, then you can obviously either just meet those or you could have them surpass and then feel really good about it.
Pessimistic way to live your life, Stephen.
I mean, look, we've all been hurt plenty by sports, so we all know the feeling. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. How about the Charlotte Hornets? They have a chance. They're in the play-in tournament. We'll tell you about their game and look at a little bit at the NBA. We'll dive more into it with James Giglio tomorrow. Big NBA guy, but we'll start to look at the NBA play-in situation, the brackets, and more to round out the show next.
Get ready to bring on the savings at Greenville Toyota with major deals on brand new Toyotas like a Camry, $229 a month, or RAV4, $279 a month. Now's your turn to save at Greenville Toyota.
In Eastern North Carolina, hard work matters, and it always has. At Flatlands Insurance Group, we've been showing up for our neighbors since 1963, helping families and business owners navigate change, weather tough seasons, and keep moving forward. Decades later, our purpose hasn't changed: to help protect what you've poured your time and energy to, from your home to your health to whatever comes next. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world covered.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in color. and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Your future is full of possibilities, and Pitt Community College can help you explore every option. You can earn a degree, learn a trade, transfer to a university, or launch a new career. We offer the support you need to succeed with flexible schedules, affordable tuition, and programs designed for the real world. Your path, your future, your college. Pitt Community College. Register now.
Bring on the savings with new Toyotas from $159 a month at Greenville Toyota. Get huge discounts like Corolla's $159 a month or Tacoma's $249 a month. Save today at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
Visit Larry's Steakhouse for a tender, hand-cut certified Angus ribeye. Other entrees include perfectly seasoned pork chops, chicken, or seafood favorites like shrimp, tuna, and salmon. Complement your meal with Larry's fresh 20-plus item salad bar, or enjoy it as an all-you-can-eat entree. Daily rotating favorites include meatloaf, chicken pastry, hamburger steak, spaghetti, pork chops, and more, all complemented with your favorite country sides. Whether it's for lunch, dinner, or our Sunday brunch, remember to support and eat local. Larry's Steakhouse.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Ahar, matey!
Back to the show with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in Hoist the Colors. Final segment here. We haven't talked about the NBA playoffs yet. I mean, I don't think we have the biggest NBA fan demographic, but I still think it should be an exciting playoffs. It's been a not great regular season. I think it could be a fun playoffs. You do have some stars still dealing with injuries, but specifically in the state of North Carolina, you have the Charlotte Hornets, who are at least a part of the play-in, and they are in action tonight. They're going to begin the postseason play as they will host the Miami Heat. Now, the problem with the Charlotte Hornets, as they are currently the 9 seed, the Heat are the 10. Even if they win tonight, then they still got to beat the loser of 76ers Magic to actually make the playoffs and have a 7-game series. So essentially it's a 1-game playoff tonight, Philip. They're hosting the Heat, 7:30. They are 6-point favorites. Do you think the Hornets get it done?
You know, you can't lose a game or lose a win a game or win a playoff series at the beginning of the season, but you can sure put yourself in a play-in series when you go out there and start 1 and whatever. That's been the issue. This team has played really good in the calendar year 2026. I think they're the much better team. I was talking to my good friend Davis last night, who is a Heat fan, and he does not feel confident in this game. So, hey, as long as they play their brand of basketball, the threes are dropping, they should be good. I mean, they got the 2 leading three-point shooters in all of the NBA this year. And obviously, Con Knippel at 271 and LaMelo Ball only 1 shot behind him at 270.
Yeah, I guess if I had a worry, it's just that you got a little, not a ton more experience, but you do have a little more experience on the Heat side, obviously with Adebayo having played in an NBA Finals before, and the coaching of Eric Spoelstra. That's what concerns me, but I do think the Hornets are a better team, and it's just if they just, like you said, if they play their brand tonight, I think they win. You also have the other play-in game tonight on the West side. This one actually determines who will be the 7 seed against the Spurs in the West. The Suns and Trailblazers will go at it. I believe 10 o'clock is that tip-off time. By the way, Prime Video, we all love when our postseason action is streamed on Prime. And then tomorrow you will have the Magic and 76ers in the 7-8 game, and also the Warriors and Clippers in the 9-10 game. So as you look at the bracket, we'll dive more into this tomorrow, Philip, but your Celtics, they're the 2 seed in the East. The Pistons are the 1, the Knicks the 3. Those are, I guess you can include the Cavs as the 4 as a threat to make a run. On the west side, the Thunder are the 1, the Spurs are the 2. The Thunder are the heavy favorites to repeat. They kind of have a potential cakewalk to the Western Conference Finals. The Nuggets and Timberwolves, as a Nuggets fan, I didn't want to see the Timberwolves in the first round, but at the same time, I'm all for compelling basketball. And if you're not an NBA fan and you want to watch a first-round series, Nuggets, Timberwolves, these teams have history. I think it's going to be a fantastic series.
I think it will be as well. I think this is the most intriguing first-round matchup you'll have. So, yeah, we'll see. And I'm excited. I mean, I just don't see really the Rockets giving too much business to the Lakers. We'll see what happens. But, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers are banged up, and I don't even know what Luka's status is, and the Rockets are kind of soft.
I mean, I guess maybe it is intriguing because they're both equally bad, I guess.
Yeah, it's probably one of the worst 4 or 5 matchups in recent memory, to be honest. Yeah. The winner gets to be steamrolled by the Thunder in the next round. But either way, we will talk NBA playoffs more with James Julia tomorrow. He's a Lakers fan, so we'll get his take. Maybe he thinks the Lakers can make a run. We'll dive into that. We'll react to the Hornets game, react to ECU, NC State, give our takes on that as well. Everybody enjoy the game, whether you're going to watch it on TV. Should be a fun one tonight, 6 o'clock first pitch. I'll be there somewhere in the stands with some of my buddies, so I may run into all you guys as a fan this time. All right, we'll see you there. We'll see you tomorrow on Hoist the Colors. Thanks for listening.